I stopped being his wife the day I became their mom. I didn't notice it at first, but my body did. Our daughter was 3. Our son was 18 months. And I couldn't remember the last time I felt like a woman instead of just a body that other people needed things from. All day long, someone was touching me, pulling at my shirt, climbing on me, needing to be held, fed, changed, comforted. By the time the kids were finally asleep, by the time the house was quiet, by the time he'd look at me with that familiar warmth in his eyes, I had nothing left to give. My skin couldn't handle one more touch. My body couldn't be needed by one more person, and the guilt was suffocating. Because I loved him. I really did. But somewhere between diapers and bedtime routines, between sleepless nights and endless demands, I'd stopped being his wife. And I didn't know how to find my way back. It started after our first baby was born. Everyone told me, intimacy will change after kids. Give yourself time to heal. It's normal to be tired. So I waited. 6 weeks became 3 months. 3 months became 6, and then I got pregnant again. With our second, it was worse. Or maybe I just couldn't hide it anymore. The baby would nurse every 2 hours. Our toddler was going through a phase where she'd only sleep if I was next to her. I was never alone. Never. Someone always needed me. My body. My attention. My energy. By 7 p.m., I was touched out. Completely depleted. But the kids weren't done with me yet. Bath time. Stories. One more glass of water. One more hug. And then finally, silence. He'd come find me on the couch, put his hand on my knee, lean in to kiss me. And I'd freeze. Not because I didn't love him, but because I couldn't. I physically couldn't handle being touched again. I started making excuses. I'm exhausted. True. The baby might wake up. Also true. I have a headache. Sometimes true. But the real reason? The reason I couldn't say out loud? I didn't feel like a person anymore. I felt like a resource that everyone consumed until there was nothing left. And the worst part was watching him try. He'd plan date nights. I'd fall asleep in the movie theater. He'd suggest we go to bed early. I'd say I needed to do laundry first, then fold clothes, then prep bottles, then anything to avoid the conversation we both knew we needed to have. I could see the hurt in his eyes, the confusion. Do you even want me anymore? He asked one night. And I didn't know how to tell him the truth. I don't want anyone. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be needed. I just want to exist. Alone. For 5 minutes. I started avoiding being alone with him. I'd stay up late doing dishes, organizing drawers that didn't need organizing, scrolling on my phone until my eyes burned. Anything to delay going to bed. Because going to bed meant facing the reality that I didn't want him to touch me. And that made me feel like I was failing. At everything, I was failing as a wife. Because I couldn't give him what he needed. I was failing as a mother. Because I was touched out and irritable with the kids. I was failing as a woman because what kind of person doesn't want their husband? My friends' social media showed date nights, anniversary celebrations. So lucky to have this man posts. And I'd think, what's wrong with me? Why could everyone else manage this? Why was I the only one who couldn't handle being a mother and a wife? It was my sister who said the words that changed everything. We were at a park. Kids running around. I was complaining about being tired, about feeling disconnected from my husband. Sounds like you're touched out, she said casually. I stared at her. What? Touched out. It's a thing. You should Google it. That night, after everyone was asleep, I did. And for the first time in 2 years, I didn't feel alone. Touched out. It had a name and it was real. I learned that being touched out is a physical and emotional state where your nervous system is so overstimulated by constant touch demands that your body literally can't handle more contact. It's not psychological. It's physiological. Your body is saying, I need space. What I didn't know then, what nobody had told me, was that this happens to millions of American mothers. Especially those who breastfeed. Especially those with young children who are in high contact stages. Studies show that mothers of children under 5 report significantly lower desire than before kids. Not because they love their partners less, but because their touch quota is maxed out every single day. I learned about oxytocin, the bonding hormone that floods your system when you're caring for babies. It makes you nurturing, protective, focused on your children. But here's what they don't tell you. Oxytocin can suppress sexual desire. Your body is literally prioritizing baby bonding over partner bonding. It's not a choice. It's biology. I learned about the mental load. That invisible burden of remembering everything. Doctor appointments. Daycare schedules. When the diapers are running low. What size clothes they need next. Who's allergic to what? When the permission slips are due. All of that lives in your head. Running in the background. Constantly. And that mental exhaustion? It doesn't just make you tired. It makes intimacy feel like one more thing on an endless to-do list. I learned that in American culture, we expect mothers to be everything. Primary caregiver, professional, household manager, and still sexy, available, interested. We get 12 weeks of maternity leave if we're lucky. Then we're expected to bounce back, to have it all, but nobody talks about the cost. Nobody talks about how you can't pour from an empty cup. And by the end of most days, my cup wasn't just empty, it was bone dry. I learned that desire for many women shifts after children. It becomes responsive instead of spontaneous, meaning you don't just want out of nowhere anymore. You need space first, rest first, to feel like yourself first. Then maybe desire can follow. But how are you supposed to feel like yourself when you have had 15 minutes alone in 6 months? And here's what hit me hardest. None of this was my fault. I wasn't broken, I wasn't cold, I wasn't failing. I was exhausted, overstimulated, touched out. And that's not the same as not loving your partner. It's not the same as not wanting your marriage to work. It's just being human. Being a mother in a culture that asks too much and supports too little. It took me another month to have the conversation. Because even knowing all of this, even understanding it, I was still scared. Scared he'd think I was making excuses. Scared he'd be hurt. Scared he'd think I didn't love him anymore. It was a Saturday morning. His mom had taken the kids to the zoo. We had the house to ourselves for the first time I couldn't even remember. He made coffee, smiled, reached for my hand. And instead of pulling away, I held it. And I said, "We need to talk about something. And I need you to really hear me." I told him everything. About being touched out, about the mental load, about how my body wasn't rejecting him, it was just overloaded. "It's not that I don't love you," I said. "It's that by the time everyone else is done needing me, there's nothing left." And I hate that. I hate feeling like this. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said something I didn't expect. "I thought you just didn't want me anymore. I thought maybe you regretted all of this. The kids, me." And I realized we'd both been suffering in silence. He thought I'd fallen out of love. I thought I was failing as a wife. Neither of us had the words to say, "This is hard. And I don't know how to fix it." We both cried. And then we started talking, really talking, about what I needed, about what he needed, about how to rebuild intimacy when intimacy felt impossible. We made changes, small ones at first. He started doing bedtime with the kids 2 nights a week, giving me actual time alone, not to do chores, just to exist. We stopped treating sex like the only form of intimacy. Sometimes we'd just sit together after the kids were asleep. Not touching, just being in the same room. That was enough. Sometimes we'd hold hands while watching TV. That was enough too. We learned that connection doesn't always have to be physical. Sometimes it's him doing the dishes without being asked. Sometimes it's me telling him I appreciate him. Sometimes it's just surviving another chaotic day and still choosing each other at the end of it. We started going on walks. Just 15 minutes. No stroller, no kids, no phones. Just us, talking about things that weren't kid-related. Remembering we were people before we were parents. And slowly, very slowly, I started feeling less touched out. Not because the kids needed me less, but because I had pockets of time to fill my cup back up. Time to remember I was more than just mom. The physical intimacy came back too. Eventually. Not the way it was before kids. It's different now. More intentional. Less spontaneous. But it's ours. And it's real. And some weeks are better than others. Some weeks I'm still touched out by Tuesday. But now he knows. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I need space tonight. Doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means I need space. And he gets it now. Because we finally talked about it. It's been almost a year since that conversation. Our kids are 4 and 2 now. Still young. Still demanding, and I still get touched out sometimes. But I don't feel guilty about it anymore. What I can tell you is this. Being touched out doesn't make you a bad mother. Or a bad wife. It makes you human. If you're reading this and you're there right now, if you're lying in bed next to your partner feeling guilty because you don't want to be touched, if you're wondering what's wrong with you, let me tell you what I wish someone had told me. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken, you're not failing, you're touched out. And that's okay. Your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, protecting itself from overstimulation. Your nervous system is saying, I need a break. Listen to it. And talk to your partner. I know it's scary. I know you're afraid they won't understand. But staying silent doesn't protect your relationship. It slowly erodes it. You deserve space. You deserve rest. You deserve to feel like yourself again. Not just mom, not just someone everyone else needs, but you and your partner. They deserve honesty. They deserve to know it's not about them. They deserve the chance to help. Even if that help is just giving you 15 minutes alone without anyone touching you. This season is hard. But it doesn't last forever. And you can get through it without losing yourself or your marriage. You just have to talk about it. If you're sitting here right now, exhausted, touched out, feeling guilty for something that isn't your fault, I want you to know something. You're not alone in this. Millions of us have felt exactly what you're feeling. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't broken. I wasn't cold. I wasn't failing. I was exhausted and my body was asking to be seen. Maybe yours is too. Before I go, I need to be transparent with you. This story? It was created with an I. The narrator, the specific details, the timeline, they're fictional. But here's what's real. The emotions. The exhaustion. The guilt. Millions of American mothers experience exactly what you just heard. Being touched out is real. The mental load is real. The feeling of losing yourself to motherhood? That's real too. This story represents what so many women go through. Women who thought they were alone. Women who thought something was wrong with them. If this resonated with you, that's because the feelings are real. Even if this particular story isn't. Subscribe to Intimacy Vault for more stories that reflect what so many women experience, but rarely have the words to express. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're just touched out. And that's okay.